right, and let's take a good listen at, or take a good look at what I'm looking at up here. Greetings, what's going on? It's Mike's from LiveMyAssOff.com, and I'm just going to double check a few things here and make sure we are, in fact, broadcasting. I'm going to check Twitter, and I just got an email that says I'm live. I just got a... Alright, so I think basically I'm here and as live as I expected I would be. And with any luck, my audio is as good as it can be. Alright, so good. So I'm going to shut all of this stuff off and I'm going to pay attention to you guys. So basically, where I am is at the Teddy Bear Museum. Which is right off Soi 1 here in Pattaya. Now, I absolutely will be doing this broadcast still at 10 a.m. my time. It is now 9:25 my time, but I will be switching away from the current setup I have and then continuing on my phone at that time, because what I didn't anticipate is that the battery in my laptop would die so soon. So again, I want to apologize to my buddy Marty Johnson, because he's basically the reason that I scheduled this at 10 a.m. I didn't realize that you could actually schedule stuff on YouTube. So now I know you can. And so greetings and aloha from beautiful Pattaya. One of the things I wanted to touch on today, being here and being in Thailand also, and being on YouTube, is sort of how you get here. And I know that in the previous live stream, right, I sort of talked about okay, so I'm going to have this, this Thailand 101 thing, and I'm going to be offering, people assistance to the best of my ability. And so I'm like, okay, cool, that'll work out great. And no sooner did I say that, and I got like a few emails, and one specifically that I got the other night got me thinking about how to get over here, but also just how to travel internationally in general. If any of you, and I'm just going to speak obviously from my own experience, right, because I don't know how it works in other countries, and I can't give legal advice, I can't give immigration advice. I can just say, hey, here's what I did, here's what worked for me, and here's what worked like really well for me. So specifically to that, I want to talk about the Trusted Traveler Program from the U.S. So if you do any international travel, and honestly, if you are going to go outside of the U.S. For more than, I'm going to say more than one time, but I get it. There's some paperwork that's involved. Anyway, the Trusted Traveler Program is simply that, is you are a trusted traveler in the eyes of border protection, border patrol. And so because of that, they're like, okay, dude, so we've done this significant background check on you, and so therefore we're going to let you through into the borders of the United States faster than the average American or international person. Trusted Traveler is open to other countries as well. But specifically global entry, and I've talked about that before, and I did a video on global entry before. And if you live in the border cities of, say, San Diego, like down there, and you do a lot of commute into Mexico, or, north, and you're going into Canada and that sort of thing, there are special programs for that. Sentry is the one that allows you to go in and out of Mexico really quickly. Although quickly is a relative term, because the border at Tijuana is actually it's dense. There's a lot of people there, even if you're in the Sentry lane. But regardless, so you can get this you can get this thing called global entry. And what that allows you to do is, or at least what it allowed me to do, is to come into the United States at these kiosks using 4 fingers. You scan at a kiosk, it takes a picture of your face, you scan your fingerprints, you put your passport in. And again, I know that there's some automation that's already involved in other major airports too. There are lines that are moving quicker than they used to. But the process, if you're doing, put it this way, it's never taken me more than 60 seconds to get back into the country. And that's been on really, really busy days where I've gotten off the plane, and the minute I got off the jetway, like, the line for immigration was right there. And it was a 2-hour wait to get past immigration. And I walked around all the people and scanned my hand. There were empty kiosks, and again, 60 seconds, bam, back in the country. So I highly recommend you look at that. When I produce this video, especially on YouTube, I'll put some links to Trusted Traveler and Global Entry, but at the end of the day, you can just simply Google it. But specifically to this one email that I got around the APEC card. Now, the APEC card, APEC, which stands for the Asia Pacific Economic Community, basically, and I could be getting that wrong. Let me Google that and just make sure that I have the C right, because I believe that, but anyway, because I hate to get that stuff wrong. What does APEC stand for? The Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, sorry. So anyway, so that's a whole bunch of the Asia Pacific countries, and not completely, let's say, but it also includes the United States in the sense that if you have this APEC business travel card, that's what I'm going to speak to, which is part of the U.S. Trusted Traveler program, then it allows for entry into these Asia Pacific countries very quickly using what is usually referred to over here as the priority lane, or if you've done any international travel, you'll see these lanes as ones that are labeled for air crew, right? Or priority or whatever. And it doesn't allow for entry into a lot of these countries in 60 seconds, but it speeds it up significantly. The other thing that it allows for, specifically to Thailand, and I did a video on using it then, using this for that, is the entry without a visa, visa exempt stamp for 90 days. Now, as Americans, or sorry, as someone with a U.S. passport, which, you know, you could argue would probably be an American, but I would assume that other people can get those too. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, American and someone with a U.S. passport are synonymous. So you have this U.S. passport, and with this APEC card, now, without the APEC card, normally you come into Thailand and you're visa exempt and you get stamped in for 30 days. In that 30 days, you can go to immigration and you can get a visa extension for 1,900 baht, or, you know, basically about, you know, $60, and then you can stay an additional 30 days, and this is just, you know, for tourism, right? Now, if you do want to stay longer and you are basically here doing business, not working in Thailand, because to work in Thailand you would need to have a work permit, and you need to have a business visa, and you need, on top of that, you need to have a work permit, or you need to have a smart visa. There's a number of visas that allow you for that option, and if you're a foreigner and you have a work permit over here, then technically you're supposed to make at least 50,000 baht a month. So the foreigners that come over here and teach English and are only making $1,000 a month, which is only 30,000 baht, I question the validity of their work permit. So let me just say that. I'm not going to get into a debate about it, but I can tell you right now that legally, the way it works is if you're a foreigner and you're working over here, you are supposed to make 50,000 baht a month from the company that is employing you, for your business permit to be, your work permit to be valid on top of your business visa. Let me just say that. So, if and when you have the option to get into the Trusted Traveler program, you basically go to this website, and one of the things that you can choose, obviously, is Sentry, as I mentioned before, from Mexico. The other thing that you can choose is the Global Entry Program. And this other thing, all the way down the bottom, is APEC. And I think it's an additional, I don't even know if it's $100. I don't think it is. It lasts, I want to say, 5 years. And with that card, you can get into these countries very quickly. And you get this 90-day stamp. So anyway, as I was answering this gentleman's email and sharing my experience, I realized that, maybe the best way to sort of share this information, along with, just doing it as I'm like walking around the beach, right? Is via email and Skype and chat and that sort of thing. So anyway, so that was one of the things I was thinking of, because again, there is plenty of information out there, and I don't necessarily want to duplicate it, but I do realize that sometimes it's hard to find. So anyway, let me just check in on some things here. I want to make sure the stream is going okay, because this is my first sort of foray using Stream with a whole bunch of different channels. My buddy Chip mentioned to me that when I was live on Facebook that, hey dude, you're live on Facebook, when I only thought that I was live on Twitch, which was, thank you very much, I appreciate that. I got a new microphone, and I got a new mixer, which is pretty sweet, so that's really cool. And it looks like, we got some folks on Periscope and Facebook and that sort of thing, so cool. And as far as I know, the chat is going to show up, does show up there in the window, and so if any of you make any comments inside of YouTube or Facebook, they'll show up, and then the others will show up as well. So here's the other thing that's really sort of important for me for today, and relative to this whole 90-day thing with the APEC card. As of today, I am in the kingdom 90 days. So I landed here the 21st of November. I was in the line. My plane, was scheduled to land about 12:30, and so by about 1:30 in the morning, I think it was like 1:15 in the morning, I made that first video where I was walking basically past baggage claim, and I was in the kingdom, and so I was in my new home, right? And so I was thinking about this whole 90 days thing, and it really is, for me, it really is sort of like a settling in point. In these 90 days, the first month, Gracie and I spent down in Cha Am, and we had a 1-month lease on a condo, and we were right on the beach, and our view was very similar to what you see here that I have from the, I think this is like the 4th story of this cafe that I'm at, Teddy Cafe. And so we did that, knowing that we weren't going to spend the whole time there. Because if you don't know, Cha Am is it is approximately 3.5 hours southwest of Bangkok. It's on the west side, and it's sleepy. It's a place where Thais vacation, which, again, I loved it, and I have a bunch of videos that I did from down there, and it was great. But the beauty of Bangkok is that it's a big city, and you can get a ton of stuff done, right? And there's a ton of options, and there's a lot of meetings that I particularly really sort of like to have, so I can do that there. And so the nice thing about living in Bangkok is that I can just sort of like walk to the BTS, and in like 11 minutes I can get anywhere in the city, basically. And so that's been like, really, really cool. And I'm digging that. So, but here's the thing that I don't know about Facebook, is I don't know if I'm actually live on Facebook. It says that there are 3 people watching me on Facebook, but I don't know if I'm live on Facebook. Oh, there we go. All right, good. Watch together with friends or with a group. Now, see, I don't know about the group watching thing. I don't know how that works. So I can do that there. There you go. And anyway, so we moved up to Bangkok, and we were there for a month in an Airbnb, and now we have a full year lease, as I mentioned in a couple other videos. But I'm down here just for like 4 or 5 days at a conference. So in Pattaya. And so 90 days, right? And so I really feel like I live here now. And I don't know why it took like 90 days. But I really feel like I'm a resident in Thailand. And so because I often wondered, like, well, why do they give you 90 days? Like, why is 90 days a certain amount? Like, who picked that amount? So I was thinking about that this morning, but anyway, so it's been going like really good, and I really dig living here. I have a lot of opportunity, but I also really like the fact that I can I can do a whole lot of nothing. But like a lot of my friends, and specifically to my current business partner, Ed, he's like, look, dude, you're going to go over there and you're going to want to stare at your foot, but you're going to get real itchy, And I mentioned to a couple people that even though I was planning on coming over here and staring at my foot for a whole month, on day 3 I was still meeting with developers, right? So anyway, the interesting part is that at day 90 today, I still realize there's so much more to see. Now, I'm coming home in July, August, but what I also was thinking about is like, okay, so now I'm like vacationing in the US, right? So now that I live here, like when I come home, I vacation. So what am I going to do? And one of the places I want to go to is Florida, simply because if I were to like come back and live in the United States, then I would go to Florida, because again, that's my weather. So while I'm going to go back, and the majority of the time is going to be spent visiting my parents, with Gracie and I is going to be visiting my parents, we're definitely going to check out Florida. And there's also that the tax benefit, right? Because like you don't have to pay personal income tax in Florida, and so that is a big benefit. Living outside of the United States, any foreign earned income, I don't have to pay federal income tax on, up to the first like $106,000 of foreign earned income. But again, I'm not earning income here because I'm not working, right? So there's no real benefit to that just yet. But it's really interesting, and I'm really psyched to be able to help some other people get here. I get a lot of comments, usually PMs, and now some more emails. And if you don't know, just email livemyassoff@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of me. People asking like, okay, so how do I do this? And it really, well, first of all, I'm honored, and I want to answer your questions, so don't stop. But I'm almost amazed that there's still these questions, because, well, I understand why, is because there's so much incorrect, in my opinion, information out there on YouTube and Facebook and that sort of thing. And, you could label the stuff that I'm putting out there as incorrect, too. I disagree. I believe it's quite correct. And I actually put a lot of time and effort into the research because it frustrates me that a lot of it is incorrect. And a lot of people can go through way too much effort to have to get something that is actually quite simple. Going back to Trusted Traveler program and talking about the APEC Business Travel Card, and also talking about global entry, I will say that the background check they do is significant. So even if you, at 14 or 15 years old, went to juvie, and you have this idea that got completely removed from your record, and nowhere in the system does it exist, it exists, and there's zero tolerance for it based on this program. So if you go in and have you ever been arrested, and you say no, and they're like, no, you were arrested like in 1960, or you were arrested in 1970 or something like this, and you're like, what are you talking about? That was like expunged from my record. I was like 15 years old. It's like me and my buddy Andy were like smoking a joint, or we were doing something stupid like 15-year-old boys do, and I like picked up trash for 2 months, and now that I have, now it's expunged from my record, and they're like, no, it's on your record. So anyway, it's a fair warning, because it does cost money and it takes time to, it doesn't really take a whole lot of time. I mean, you don't have to provide them with like a ton of paperwork. But it does take some time to fill it out, and it takes some time to wait. So you do need to like pay the money, and if you get denied, you don't get the money back. So just fair warning. It's you could argue it's a reasonable expectation of, because I mean they're basically saying, okay, so look, dude, we're going to pretty much trust that you're not going to do anything wrong. Because again, to re-enter the country, I mean, they don't really. Now, the kiosk for sure asks you these questions. Are you bringing anything in? Do you have anything to declare? That sort of thing. But for the most part, the people that do this, the people that are part of Trusted Traveler, the people that use Global Entry, people that use it so frequently and go in and out so regularly, do it at that cadence, such that all of the questions inside of the kiosk, you always answer like no to. So therefore, at the bottom, there's one button that they have there that allows you to push that just says no to all. So they, I assume that they have the expectation that you're going to read all of them. But after you've read all of them like 9 times, then, you just sort of kind of enter and hit no to all. So it becomes a very simple process. But the point is that they're like, look, the point is that, and thank you, Ryan. Yeah, the background. So Ryan says on Facebook, yeah, the background check is no joke. They brought up an attempt to bypass agriculture regs on my aunt for bringing in a summer sausage for a duty-free shop in Europe and forgetting to declare it 5 years earlier. Okay, so now there's a part of me that, because Ryan and I know each other and we've joked around before, there's a part of me that thinks, okay, you're just throwing that out there to get me to say summer sausage. But no, I get it. I mean, because you got to remember that like all of the behavior that we do at immigration, I refer to it as immigration, but it's CBP, right? Customs and Border Patrol. So at the immigration, it's monitored. And it's documented, which, quite frankly, is a good thing, especially if you do the right thing regularly. And I'll give you a great example of that. So when Gracie came into San Diego for the first time, she landed in San Diego. Now, I have my opinions and reasons why I think it was more difficult for her to enter San Diego. Sausage Gate. And that could have been because, again, it was her first time, but also I would submit that the border agents in San Diego aren't necessarily accustomed to interfacing with international travelers as much as they are in Los Angeles. I mean, let's face it. Los Angeles, Atlanta, those types of airports, I mean, it is a hub for, like, international travel. So, seeing 1,000 people in 15 minutes from the Philippines come into, it isn't odd, right? Anyway, so Gracie comes in. And there were also a couple of other things that I guess were odd for them, which was that she got her visa. She's a Filipino citizen. She got her visa in Bangkok at the U.S. Embassy. Now, the reason behind that was twofold. The first is that her first attempt to get that visa in Manila was denied because for no other reason than her and about 20 other people that were in the room who they didn't look at any of their information were also denied because the person at the time just wanted to go home. And he was just like, no, it doesn't matter. He gave them all a piece of paper that said, here's the reasons why. There's one of like 10 reasons on this piece of paper why you were denied, but they didn't tell him which one. So at the end of the day, we reapplied, and that's very common. Many people get their visas denied. My buddy went to Syria recently, and he got his first visa denied, and he reapplied, and he got his second one approved, right? So anyway, so we were traveling, right? In fact, we were in Thailand getting dental work done, and I said, look, the U.S. Embassy in Thailand, it's like right there. I mean, it's right on wireless, and let's just cruise over. It's near Lumpini. It's near where we're going to be staying off of Sukhumvit to get dental work done. Let's just go through the process, because if you don't know, when you fill out the paperwork online, because you do have to submit a significant amount of data and information when you're getting a visa, at least a U.S. visa, and you should. We've applied for Mexican as well as Shenzhen visa. And the upload of data, Canadian visitor visa, the upload of data is significant. The Canadian visa, actually, I swear we had to upload more data there than we did for the U.S. visa. It was probably about the same. It's just been a couple years, so I've forgotten the pain. But the point is that we were there. So she has this visa in a Philippine passport, and of course, what they're normally used to seeing is a visa issued from Manila, right? And this is issued from the U.S. Embassy in Bangkok. Now, don't forget, the same integrity checks are done because it's a representative of the U.S. the U.S. government, right, saying, yes, we're going to allow you into our country. And so it's not like we got a favor. we didn't know a guy, right? I mean, we had the same process of checks in the same website a second time. The only thing that we did in addition to it was in the text box that says, why were you denied? We detailed for them the reasons. And I like to think that they reasonably read that and said, okay, well, we can verify that you have income, you have a business back in your home country, you have family back in your country, not the least of which is a daughter. And so you've basically proven to us that you're going to go back home, plus the fact that you have a passport that has stamps from about 9 other countries showing that you are, going to go there, or that you have been there, and you've left and come home. So it shows me that my battery is dying. So it is 9:50. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this broadcast, and I'm going to restart at 10 o'clock after I figure out a place to plug in my laptop. I may be a little late, so in anticipation for that, Marty, I'm very sorry, but I promise the 10 a.m. live broadcast is coming up. It just might not be at 10 o'clock. It may be on Thai time. So anyway, it's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com saying I really appreciate you guys listening. It's an honor to chat with you guys, and I'm going to be chatting with you here again real soon. So stay tuned. Talk soon. Ciao.